Identify and acknowledge the gap. I want to do 3 million. In my projections, I know that we're going to hit 2.3. I have a $700,000 gap. Look at adding additional traffic, look at spending additional money, look at getting additional affiliates, look at optimizing your sales funnels, look at getting more webinar registrants. What's working really well is the place to start closing the gap versus what's not. You guys need to be having revenue meetings on a weekly basis, and first on a monthly basis establishing here's what we're going to do. For us, we set revenue targets and break them down by month, a year out, and then we review them quarterly and say, hey, here's what we said, are we going to hit that? So let's kind of break into the monthly revenue projections and how we do that. So here are the questions that you guys need to answer when you're doing these projections. Question number one, what are our top 2 to 5 revenue sources? Now, here are some examples. Promotions, right? I just said Digital Marketer historically has been a promo-centric company. Our promotional calendar, our email list is going to drive a ton of revenue. I don't want to measure in ton, I want to measure in dollars. How much revenue is that going to come? But that's going to be one of our top 3. Then is it media? Do you have a sales team? Affiliates? Is it wholesale? What are the top 3 revenue sources or categories that you have? And the reason I didn't say categories because someone was going to be in e-com and someone was going to say, well, but I have thousands of SKUs in this one category. Try to isolate it down to this comes from promotions when I send email, my sales team generates this, my affiliates generate this. What are the top 3 that if you miss one of those, you will miss your number? Identify those. Next, you need to answer the question, how much revenue will we generate next month? What is our goal or budget, right? What is our goal or budget? Start with what you want. I want to generate $3 million next month. Great. That's fantastic. Now you have to run projections, right? Now you know your goal. What is each of those top 3, if those are the only 3 that if one of them misses, you would miss that target. What is each of those going to generate next month? What are your projections? If you have subscription, what are you forecasting? Then what is the billing efficiency? If you have a promotional calendar, you should know based on the promotions you have there, it's going to generate this much revenue. Right? If you have a sales team, you should be able to look in the sales pipeline and say, what do we have that we know is going to close based on the sales pipeline? So make some projections. Now you have to acknowledge or identify and acknowledge the gap. I want to do 3 million. In my projections, I know that we're going to hit 2.3. I have a $700,000 gap. How am I going to close that gap, right? How can we close the gap? And this is one of those times where everyone who is responsible for generating revenue, you should open that up. There's some great ways to figure out what's working is the first place to start. What's working really well? What if it worked better? Right? Dive into the things that are working, look at adding additional traffic, look at spending additional money, look at getting additional affiliates, look at optimizing your sales funnels, look at getting more webinar registrants. What's working really well is the place to start closing the gap versus what's not, right? Never go to what's not working unless it used to work really well and it's something obviously broken, now it's not working. Now you need to say how much revenue will come from each source. So let's say you've picked 3. Right? And you've said, I'm going to do $2.3 million, or I'm going to do $5 million next month. That's my projection. Here's what revenue is going to come from my top 3 sources, right? I'm going to have $500,000 come from affiliates. I'm going to have $1.8 million come from my house list and promotions. I'm going to have $790,000 come from subscriptions. How much money is going to come from each source? This is the thing that changed for us, right? When you're looking at these 3 levers, we always assumed, stupidly, that if we were falling short, the easiest thing to do, because we were a promo-centric company, is just send a better promo, or just get more traffic to the promo that we were sending, or add another promo, or identify a high-value segment that we're not tapping, and then hit them with a better promo. When we started saying, well, what should revenue look like by subscription billing, by promo, and by sales floor, and then took one step further and said, what should it look like by each of those sources week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Now I have benchmarks. Everyone, again, this is about communication to the team. Not only do I know, not only do I have buy-in, every member of my team and the people who control these different levers to pull know what, by when. What do we need to do? By when. And if we're not tracking, they are empowered to come up with new and creative ways to improve those results.